You know, when you walk by a store and you can smell that fresh, clean scent that it's basically inviting you in. I love it, and that's why I'm creating a signature scent for my own brand. In this video, I will share the journey creating this scent with you. So grab your coffee and let's talk. Shall we? I remember this one time that I bought this perfume for Marcus from Aesop, and it got like delivered to our house. When he opened the package, there was this beautiful fragrance coming out of it, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. It's the most memorable unboxing that I've ever had, I would say. And that's why when I was thinking about my brand, I was like, yeah, I have to have a signature scent. This is something that will help people have like an automatic reaction when they open the box, and this will bring them to the Avesso world like in, you know, like 1 millisecond. And also, like, another thing is that some people have this prejudice against secondhand clothes because how they smell. And I was like, if there's one thing that we can do to break this prejudice, like in the first moment, is creating a signature scent that will help people feel, you know, like good in the moment that they open the box. We want them to feel like this clean, fresh, and good scent since the first moment. As anyone trying to do anything for the first time, the first thing I did when I decided to create the signature scent for my brand was to, Google suppliers. And I wanted to work with someone from the Netherlands, and especially like if I could, someone from Rotterdam. And it was not easy to find a supplier. I have to say, it's not easy to find information about like creating a signature scent for a brand, to be honest. You have the big fragrances houses creating fragrances for the biggest, you know, like companies in the world, but I don't have the budget to work with them, and I wanted to work with someone from Rotterdam if possible. I googled it and I was like searching and searching and searching, and eventually I found this place here called Scent Studio Rotterdam. I emailed them and they're owned by Clarissa. We were talking and I explained to her like what was my idea, what I wanted to do, and I was afraid that it would be, you know, like outside my budget because I have a limited budget and I didn't know if it would fit my budget. So I shared everything with her and I told her my idea, and she was like, yeah, we can do a workshop to create the scent for your brand. The workshop happened last week on the 13th of May. The place is in Barendrecht, which is this small city connected to Rotterdam. I went there by bike. It was like 40 minutes cycling. It was kind of like emotional because as I was like going there, I was thinking about like everything that I'm like living and how privileged I am to experience everything that I'm experiencing right now. I arrived, Clarissa was there, of course, and there was this big table with a lot of fragrances, and she separated them in like categories, and she was like, I have an idea for the signature scent, but I want you to go through all of them and smell yourself and separate the ones that you like. And I knew that I wanted a scent that I was like fresh and clean. So when I was going through all of the fragrances, this is what I was looking for. And also like some fragrances and notes that I like personally on my perfumes as well. So I picked some fragrances, not some, like it was quite a lot of fragrances. And then like after picking the fragrances that I liked, the next step was to create the scent. This was done by Clarissa because she is the expert, of course, so she knows how to balance the fragrances and the proportion of which one of them. And she was basically like creating a recipe, you know, like she took the fragrances that I liked, she separated like the ones that were more fresh and clean and some others that were more like woody. And she was like, let's create first one that is more fresh and clean, and if you want, like we can mix these woody ones later. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And then she tested like a first version, and I felt that it was like too sweet, not too sweet, but I could smell this sweetness, you know. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that this is what I'm looking for. And she was like, okay, let's try a second recipe. And she tried a second recipe, and I was like, this is good, this is good, this is where I want to go. And she was like, I like this one, but I have like a third recipe in mind that I like, basically using the same ingredients but like adding more of these components. So she did a third version, and I was like, this is also very good. It was like stronger and also very good. And then I was like, yeah, but there are these woody notes that I really like. For example, sandalwood. I love sandalwood on my perfumes. And I was like, can we try one version with a bit of sandalwood? And she was like, yeah, sure, let's do a fourth recipe. And then we tried a fourth recipe with sandalwood, but it was not what I was looking for. When she added the sandalwood, the scent became very much like a perfume. And I was like, yeah, I can smell this as a perfume, you know, like as a person's perfume. And this is not what I want. I don't want people opening the box and smelling something that feels like someone's perfume, you know, like, because this is weird. So I was like, yeah, this is not the way, so let's go back to the other two versions. And she was super nice. She was like, okay, I will give you 2 samples of like these 2 fragrances that you like, the second one and the third one, and then you can take them home and test them on your materials, see which one you like the most, and give 2 people to smell as well, and yeah, they can give you their opinions. And this is what we did in the workshop. So basically we created these 2, actually like we created these 4 fragrances, and I liked 2 of them, and she gave me 2 samples of those ones for me to test at home. And it's super important to have your consumer in mind when you are creating your own signature scent. You want them to experience something that is unique and that is true to your brand, but you also have to think about these feelings. For example, like when I was mixing my scent with sandalwood and then it got very perfumery, I was like, yeah, this is not the place I want to go. Even though I love sandalwood for myself as my like perfume, it's not what I want my consumers to experience, because it's a stronger, you know, like smell, and some people might like it, some people, yeah, might not like it. So you have to think about your consumers and what they are going to experience and what they're going to feel when they smell your signature scent, which is not easy, but you definitely have to keep this in mind. So these are the perfumes, number 2 and number 3. So the idea with this test was to spray the scent on these materials to see how they develop and see how they stick to the materials, let's say, because in the end, like, I want people to feel and smell the scent even after like a few days. I will spray this and then it will take a few days to get to them the package, so it has to last a few days in the packaging. And that was the test that I wanted to do, like to see how it performed in the materials itself, if they lasted long enough, and what were the notes that were getting like after a few days. This is the material, like the similar material that I will use on my cards, and I sprayed this like I think one time, and it was, yeah, a few days ago, so almost like 1 week ago, and I can still smell the scent. This is number 3, but it's very, very subtle. And then I was like, okay, I have to test on the card box as well. And this is like the card box. So here I sprayed 2 times, and like here it's like stronger. And you can really smell the scent. And this was like a few days ago. Also, like I think I sprayed 2 times on Friday. Today is like Wednesday. It's still smelling like really good. And I did this like for both scents, so number 2 and number 3. Basically, both scents, they have the same fragrances, but the composition is a bit different. So on the third one, we have like a bit more of like one ingredient than the number 2. In the end, like both are very similar, but I think that number 3 is more like a perfume and not like a scent. Even though like a scent, it's a perfume, but like, yeah, in my mind, it's a bit different. So I'm leaning towards number 2, and I gave both to Marcus to smell and to see like what he thinks. And he was also like, yeah, 3 reminds me of someone, and 2 reminds me of a feeling, a place, or like, yeah, something else, you know, like not a person. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So I'm leaning towards number 2. I still haven't decided, but I'm leaning towards number 2, which is a pity because like number 3 is my lucky number, and I really wanted number 3 to be the one. But yeah, I have to follow my gut here, and my gut is telling me that like number 2 is the one, even though they're very similar and they smell like very similar. I believe that number 2 is the one. But it's not easy, you know, like deciding which one to use. Like I think that every day I would go downstairs and smell these cards to see like how they were developing and like which one I preferred. And again, like they are both very similar, so I was very torn between them, but I'm leaning towards number 2. But it's not easy, you know, like, and you have to think about what you want your consumers to feel. You have to think about your brand and what is more true to the brand and not like yourself, because in the end, like the brand is not you. So you have to think about that. Yeah, but it's not easy. Like it's a very difficult decision. And as you can see, I still haven't like decided yet, but I believe it will be number 2. But it's a hard process. It's a hard process. I think that like when you are deciding and choosing the signature scent for your brand, like it really goes back to your foundations. So everything that I've talked on my last video, all of that have to tie with your signature scent somehow. So having like a good foundation, it's really important to nail the signature scent. But of course, like you can always change that later. But for me, it was like a difficult decision because I'm really sensitive to smell. So this really matters to me, you know, like nailing on the signature scent. So that's why like it's a big decision. Just like taking my time to decide which one is the best. And I'm really like following my gut feelings here because yeah, there's not a formula, you know, like I mean, probably if you are like a professional, there is a formula and you can say like, yeah, this is it, this is that, blah blah. But like I'm not a professional, so I'm just like following my gut feelings here. And yeah, it's not easy, you know, like because you have like a lot of fragrances, a lot of options, and a lot of things that you can mix and match to make different scents. And I always have this thought, you know, like, okay, but if I'm choosing this one, I'm leaving like a lot of other possibilities like on the side. And what if the perfect signature scent was another one that I didn't pick? And this kind of like consumes me sometimes. But you have to go with your gut feeling and you have to trust the process and you have to just, you know, like do it. In the end, like if you want to change it later, it's fine. You just, yeah, change it. But yeah, you have to follow your gut here and just think if it's true to your brand and to what you want your consumers to feel, you know, like, but there's not a formula. At least now we have the signature scent for the launch, and yeah, I'm excited for our consumers to experience that and to hear their feedback as well. This is how we created the signature scent for Avesso, my curated secondhand menswear brand. And if you have questions, if you want to know anything specific, just let me know here in the comments and I can talk about it like in a next video. It's been like a really like emotional journey overall, but I'm feeling like good. I'm feeling excited for what's to come, and I'm really looking forward for you to experience and to smell this signature scent and tell me what you think about it, you know, like, because in the end I'm doing this for you and for Avesso's consumers. So yeah, I want to know what you think when you smell this signature scent. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for investing your time here. If you want to follow Avesso on our social medias, like I'm leaving everything here down like in the description. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I will also leave my link here. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have an amazing Sunday, and I see you in the next video. Thank you, take care, se cuida, tchau!